Welcome to episode 2 of the Healthy Church Staff Podcast. My name is Todd Rhoades. I'm one of the co-founders over at Chemistry Staffing. And we are in the midst of a series we're calling the 10 Commandments for Church Staff. We just got started yesterday with commandment number 1, which was do for others. And that had to do, we talked a lot about empathy in that episode. Go back and listen to that if you have missed it. But today we're going to continue on with commandment number 2. But first, before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about these 10 commandments. These are based on biblical principles, and I like to think of these as like an insurance policy for you as you're on a church staff to help you stay on track, to set up some guardrails. They're really intended to help you maintain a healthy work-life balance and avoid some burnout, and to protect you from some moral lapses, ethical lapses. They're not a list of legalistic rules. They're not meant to be burdensome, but these principles, if you put them in effect, will protect you and they will protect your family during the time of your ministry and in your Christian walk as well. So let's get started with commandment number 2. In this commandment, we talk about 2 simple words: practice humility. This comes from Scripture from the King James Version. It says, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind." That's humility. Let each other esteem others better than themselves. Okay, I love the way Eugene Peterson puts it in the Message. He says this: don't push your way to the front. Don't sweet talk your way to the top. Put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Be happy with who you are and don't compare yourself to others. Okay? So humility is the quality of being modest and unassuming. It's the opposite of arrogance. It's the opposite of pride. Humility is often associated with being willing to learn from others, from admitting when you're wrong, and being grateful for what you have. It's not all about you. As you practice, humility is going to be the opposite of pride. Humility is going to be the opposite of self-centeredness, the opposite of feelings of superiority, and the opposite of entitlement. All right, so as we go through these, I've been giving you some red flags to know, alerts that maybe you need to rethink your view as to whether you're doing a good job at keeping this commandment number 2, which is practice humility. And the first red flag we have that I want to talk about is dismissiveness towards others' ideas. If you as a leader are constantly dismissing other people's opinions or their ideas or their contributions without even considering them, it could be a lack of humility on your part. A humble leader values and listens to other people's inputs. Another red flag: unwillingness to admit mistakes. If you are a person, as you think through your ministry, that you cannot think of the last time that you admitted that you made a mistake, if you do not or are not able to acknowledge your mistakes or failures, it might indicate a lack of humility. Either that or you're just right all the time, which I know that doesn't work for me. Humility requires the ability to admit when we're wrong. Humility requires the ability for us to learn from our mistakes. Okay, so that's red flag number 2. Red flag number 3. Are you seeking personal recognition or glory? If you desire or you feel like a lot of times you just need that word of encouragement, that limelight, or for somebody, just give me a little bit of credit here, guys. It might suggest a lack of humility. A humble leader gives credit where credit's due. A humble leader doesn't seek personal glory or to be necessarily in that limelight. Okay, a couple other red flags here. Refusal to take advice or to learn. If you are resistant to learning from others, if you think maybe you're a little smarter, a little brighter, maybe the most important or the smartest person in the room, it could indicate very well a lack of humility. Humility requires that everyone has something valuable to contribute, whether it could be your boss, it could be somebody underneath you, but everyone should be able to contribute and at least speak in. Okay? If you regularly, here's another red flag, if you regularly compare yourself with others, if you're frequently measuring your success or your abilities or your worth against others, either in your organization or other church leaders that you know or other people in your life, it could suggest a lack of humility. Humility encourages us to be content with who we are and not to compete with or envy others. And the last red flag, excessive focus on self. If the majority of your conversations, hear this, if the majority of your plans or your decisions revolve around your own interests or desires, it may suggest a lack of humility. And a humble person with humility thinks of others more than themselves. Okay, here's some ways that you can work on this today. How do you cultivate humility, Todd? Here are some practical suggestions. Do a regular self-assessment. Maybe take some time today and reflect on this commandment and how you're doing with humility. It always helps to pray for humility and sometimes to ask those around you if they feel like you're a humble person or if they see any of these red flags going on in your life. Another way is to acknowledge and appreciate the contributions of others. There's probably somebody on your team that did something really great that you just haven't said, hey, good job. Acknowledge that. On the other hand, be open to feedback. Be willing to learn and practice servant leadership. Yesterday we talked about do unto others. This is a great way to show humility, is to do something for others. Give them some really good feedback on a project or tell them they did a good job. Be humble. Be humble. Okay, that's commandment number 2. I hope you'll join us again tomorrow for commandment number 3. I'll give you a sneak peek. We're going to be talking about how to prioritize love. Talk to you tomorrow.